All right, guys, so we're live. We're getting started here in just a second. Thank you so much for joining us for a special Motivation Monday. It's special because I'm here, but my dad's here too, so I guess that makes it special-er.
More special?
More special? I like special-er.
I don't think special-er is a word.
Betsy's going to play
tried to
Oprah
train Lance
today.
over the years, but he has his own words, so you'll have to forgive him.
Okay, so I am sharing this out right now, and then we can go ahead and get
Guys, listen.
started.
I only want to tell you once to speak up. Camera's all the way over there.
Okay, well, you're not talking any louder than we are.
Yeah, y'all are already pissing me off and Monday's already started. Happy Motivation Monday! Welcome!
Awesome. So, hello everybody. As Lance just said, it's Motivation Monday. We are so excited. We are coming live from Lance's dad's house. We're here with her.
What did you put in here? Put cream and sugar in here? I drink my coffee black.
Okay, beggars can't be
You see,
choosers.
nothing's changed since Lance was a little boy. There's no way to please him. There's no way to explain things to him.
To all the Blancos?
Okay.
Yep, I shared to all the Blancos. So we're here. We're going to do a little interview with father and son and kind of get some background story for Lance and kind of learn a little bit about how he came up and how he was raised and in the business world and everything like that. So Herb, you want to kind of give us a little bit of background information about you? What did you do in business and everything like that?
A background with me. Well, I've been in sales since I was about 14 years old. I've sold everything from carpeting to craftmatic beds to home remodeling. Got into the insurance business in 1968. Had been in it ever since. That's 50-some years in the industry. And what else would you like to know?
So what did you do in sales? You were doing insurance and stuff like that? And
Well, the insurance business has been the biggest part of my life, okay? As I said, I started in 1968. It's an interesting story. I have no formal education. I knew I couldn't have been an engineer or a doctor, so I had to find something that I thought would get me to where I wanted to be. In 1968, I decided to go to work for free. No salary, no retirement plan, no benefits, okay? But I had to earn what I was worth, and that's something I've always wanted to do, and I never looked back. So from 1968 to 2005, I was in the insurance business, and I earned the kind of money I wanted to earn, and I've retired, and I'm enjoying a good lifestyle. But what got me there is the belief in knowing that I could do what I wanted to do. I believed I could do it, I visualized it every day, and it became a reality.
So a lot of people have parents when they grow up that say you have to go to college, get a job, get a pension, get a retirement. Those things don't really exist today. I didn't have that. I had parents telling me to go out and earn what it is that I was worth and be self-employed and be an entrepreneur. And that support system is so key, and so many people miss that and end up surviving and still succeeding despite that.
That's true, okay? The only thing that you have to have a vision. You have to have a belief in yourself, okay?
And you have to speak up.
You have to speak up, okay? But if you have a vision and you have a belief in yourself, and every day you have a goal when you get up and leave the house, okay? And visualize that goal throughout the day, you will succeed in whatever it is that you do.
Mm-hmm.
If you want me to give you a background on Lance, I can.
So that's kind of my next question.
All right, let me give you a background on Lance. It's a very interesting story, and I've shared it with a lot of people, okay? My mother said to me, Herb, I hope one day you have a son just like you. And unfortunately, I did, okay? Lance graduated high school, barely. He was 18 years of age. He came to me and he said, Dad, I know what I want to do with the rest of my life. I was hoping he'd say he wanted to go into the military, okay? But he said, I'm coming to work for you. I kind of looked at Lance and said, Lance, I'll tell you what, you get a job for 1 year and show me that you can work 40 hours a week, show up every day and do what's expected of you, and then we'll sit down and talk about this. Well, that's exactly what he did. He went to work in the carpet business and became the #1 salesman of the year. Came back to me and said, Dad, I've done everything you've asked. I want to come work for you in the insurance business. Okay? Fine, Lance, but you have to pass the test first. Lance says, no problem. I said, sure it's not. Well, he flunked it twice. Okay? Finally, the third time he took the test, he got through it. He became an agent for me, and he worked for me for 6 months. He came to me and says, Dad, I'm moving home to Columbus, Ohio. I said, why? You're doing so well here. He says, no matter what I do, it's always going to be because of you. Okay, he wanted to prove that he could do it on his own. He moved back to Columbus, Ohio, and listen to the rest of the story. At 19, he became the #1 agent in the company, agent of the year. At 21, he became a district sales coordinator, #1 in the country. At 26, he became a regional sales coordinator, #1 in the country. No education, but he had one thing going for him: desire, determination, and a belief in himself. That's Lance's story.
That's awesome.
That's Lance's story.
I know that Lance was hard-headed and wanted to do it his own way and everything like that. So how did you motivate him and people like him? Because I'm sure you had a huge team doing sales and everything like that.
Lance was a hard head, okay? And he did want to do things his own way.
Nothing's changed.
But nothing's changed. But one thing he did do, he did listen, okay? He wanted to succeed. He wanted to be the best. So he did listen and he took some advice. But he did do it his own way. And I can't say he didn't do it the right way, because everything he did worked for him.
Okay.
Okay?
Now hold on. You can still say I did it the wrong way.
I know obviously you did not do it the wrong way, because this worked for you. You succeeded in everything you've tried to do. So who am I to give any different advice?
So people who are watching, who are in sales or maybe have people underneath them, what is the best way you found to motivate people to do their job?
Show them you care.
Show them you care.
Show them you care. Show them you have an interest in them and their families.
Okay.
Okay? And reward them for a job well done.
Nice. Yeah. Seems simple, but once you get into it and you get busy and you get, motivated to do other things, it's hard to take that step back and actually say, good job, job well done kind of thing.
If you're running a sales organization, what you have to understand, okay, is those folks working for you are making you a living.
Yep.
If they're not successful, you're not successful.
Yeah.
So you don't look at those people as people working for you. You're working for them, okay? Because they're your lifeline, your bloodline, your food line, and your future retirement. Yep. And that's the way you've got to view those people.
So I learned 2 things in sales from you, and they actually kind of contradict each other. Number one, you need your people more than they need you, especially when you're in a sales organization.
Absolutely.
Especially when you're dealing with self-employed individuals, and Betsy and I are getting back into this, dealing with contractors, independent contractors, self-employed folks, and the fact is that without them, we can't make a living. So we do need them more than they need us. And that's something you have to remember about your team, especially when you're in sales. However, you've also always taught me, and I've always lived by the philosophy of, I'm going to push you to succeed or push you out the door. Now that depends what success is for you. Do you want to make 30 grand a year? You're looking to make a 6-figure income? You want to retire a millionaire? What is it that you want? And then the fact is, you need to push those people to be able to accomplish what they told you they want to accomplish. Because if they aren't going to succeed, you can spend a year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years with them, nothing's going to change. They've got to have the motivation, drive, and desire in order to succeed, period. And you can help instill that in them, but they've got to come with it.
The old expression, which sounds terrible but is true, is you have to fail your failures fast, okay? If you know they're not going to make it, you know they're not going to succeed, you put everything into them you can possibly put into them, but you have to fail your failures fast or they will tear your organization down.
Yeah, and we'd like to get questions from you guys that are on here today, and let us know what kind of question you had for us, because you may never have this opportunity again. You can ask what I was like as a kid and all that good stuff. So maybe we should talk about that a little bit, though. Well, I'll let Betsy continue with the questions, because she's got a whole list. She's been thinking about this all night.
So one of my questions was, what was something that you wish Lance would have taken your advice on? What is something that you have told him that kind of sticks out in your memory that you're like, if you just would have listened to me, you wouldn't have had to deal with this, this, and that?
How much time do we have this morning?
Let me answer that very, very quickly, okay? As I said, I have been in sales all of my life, okay? And I have dealt with some of the best salespeople in the world, and I've competed against the best salespeople in the world. And real honestly, I'm not saying it because he's my son, Lance has more ability than any salesperson I've ever worked with in all my sales career. The biggest problem with Lance is he's hard-headed, okay? And I've given him good advice, I've given him bad advice. But Lance did not take advice very well. It's Lance's way or the highway. That was Lance, that's the way Lance grew up. And he did listen to me quite a bit. He did follow my instruction a lot, but he had a tendency to get offline. And when he got offline, he struggled, okay? But the ability was there, the talent was there, the know-how was there. He was a trainer that I've never experienced in my whole life. A great sales organizer and trainer, okay? And if he keeps his head on straight, he can go right to the top, which he really has done. And that's the honest truth about Lance.
So Angelo, a good friend of ours, has a question for you. He says, what recommendations do you have in the hiring process and interviewing? He's actually in commercial sales, is what he does. But that's his question for you today. What recommendations do you have for the hiring process and interviewing? And both Herb and I did a ton of recruiting because that was his job for a lot more years than me. I only did it for about 2 years. It was recruiting. So that's probably a very good question for you to be able to answer.
Okay, ask me the question again.
Well, he's also almost 80 years old, so we're working here.
Okay, give me a question.
Alzheimer's is starting to kick in. What recommendations do you have for the hiring process and for interviewing? Angela wants to know.
Angelo, when I interviewed anyone, okay, the first thing I looked at was self-confidence, desire, drive, okay, motivation in themselves, belief in themselves. That's what I looked at. Someone that wanted to succeed, that was willing to put in the effort. And you can learn that by just talking to an individual for a very short span of time, okay? That's what I look for in an interview or in an individual.
One of the things that you taught me is don't read a resume.
Never read a resume.
Completely and totally worthless. Even when we were recruiting back in the insurance days, because of the fact that
Never read a resume
is basically something that someone put together off of a computer or had somebody help them write, and a resume is bullshit. Okay? Resume is made to make them sound good. You can tell when you talk to someone if they are motivated, if they are self-driven, if they are someone who wants to succeed, if someone who is passionate about your business. And just by asking the questions through your interview process, you can really tell, and you get a gut feeling, is this someone I want on my team or is it not? You really find that out very, very quickly. I think that's important.
I would glance at the resume to look at the background, the educational background.
I look at it so I know their name, because I can't remember their name.
Right, but resumes never impress me, okay? The individual impressed me, not the resume. Because as you said, they can put the resume together. I could put one together and make me look like king of the road, okay? But it's all not true. I agree.
Angelo said he loves that you say that.
That's awesome. So being in sales for so long and having people, seeing top salesmen, seeing Lance, what besides self-confidence were talents and traits of people who really succeeded?
Well, one of the things I always look for in an interview is someone that comes in and dresses professionally, speaks professionally, okay? I ask an individual, tell me about yourself. I want to hear about that individual. I want to know what he's did, where he's from, where he's going. What are your goals in the next 3 or 4 years? Where do you see yourself 5 years from now? These are the things I like to hear from an individual when I'm doing an interview. You tell a lot about that person very quickly.
However, as you always said, you talk about Jeff Mikowski.
Well, now
Jeff Mikowski was the complete opposite of everything you just said.
But I never hired Jeff Mikowski.
I understand, but you're talking construction worker, couldn't string 2 words together when you first met him. Yeah. I love you, Jeff, but the fact is that I've had people like that come in and work for me too, but he had the passion.
Jeff Mikowski is my favorite story in sales, okay? Jeff Mikowski is my favorite individual that I like to talk about. Here's a kid that was a roofer, a blacktopper, a street kid, like me, okay? He came into the insurance business because he wanted to build a future for himself and his family. And he absolutely destroyed the English language. He was a hothead, he had a temper, but over the years, he settled down. He had that desire, he had the passion to succeed. He knew what he wanted to accomplish. And here's a guy that came with Aflac in 1985 or 1986 and became a district sales manager, a regional sales manager, a state sales manager, and has done extremely well for himself. And there are those exceptions like Jeff Bukowski, and he is an exception, which I'm very proud to speak about him.
That's great.
James, Bradley, Adam, Kenny, thanks for joining. James, I know you got to have some questions about my youth. Luba, I love you for bringing me coffee. You can come on camera and say hello to everyone. She said no.
Luba's camera shy. She does not want to be on here. So working with Lance and doing coaching with Lance and teaching with Lance, I have heard many of your sayings. So Lance, go ahead and give me, I know my favorite.
No, ask him his favorite. It'll
So
come out.
I want to know what your favorite saying is, and I want to know what your favorite saying of your dad's is, and how you came up with these. Where did they come from?
Well, one of my favorite sayings that I've said for years and years to all my children is, what the mind can conceive and believe, the body can achieve. And I'm a firm believer in that, okay? And I don't know where it came from. It just came out of my mouth one day. I don't know where it came from. It just came out of my mouth. But the reason I love that is if you can conceive what you want and really believe in what you want, you will attain that goal. And that's one saying that I just love. What the mind can conceive and believe, the body can certainly achieve.
And what's funny is I get sick and fucking tired of hearing that saying when I was a kid. Drove me absolutely insane, but now Betsy makes fun of me because I say it all the time.
It comes out of your mouth like every other
But
day.
it is true. Let's dissect it, okay? If you can conceive something, if you can visualize it, if you can believe that you can accomplish it, that you can do it, then you can achieve it. That's what it comes down to. When you want to start a business, when you want to get started in business, when you want to get started in sales, the only difference in the person that succeeds and the person that fails, I guess there's two differences. Number one, follow the rules. Follow someone like Herb that's been there, that's done it. I did do exactly what he said when it came to sales, okay? And it worked for me. But at the same time, if you're passionate about it, believe in it, and you're willing to put in the effort, you will succeed in it. But here's another thing, and tell me what you think about this. Not that I'm the interviewer. So many people spend so much time, one of my sayings is the difference in a entrepreneur and an entrepreneur. An entrepreneur spends years getting their brand together, their business together, their logo together, whereas an entrepreneur just goes out and friggin' does it, okay? You get your license, you go out, we jumped into the insurance business, we did it. We said, okay, sounds like a good idea, let's just go do it. Don't waste so much time screwing around, trying to make everything perfect. Just go out there and make it what you want it to be. Angela, it's Angelo again. Sorry, I'm blind. My dad was put love into everything you do. My dad says to put love into everything you do. Yes, put passion into everything that you do. But let's talk about the early days of sales, because see, I started with Aflac with my dad, and my dad decided that he was going to get me started in the senior market. We're going to do long-term care, and we're going to do med subs, and that's in the day where you ran the roads with farmers. Let's talk about that first appointment that we went on when you went and ate all the brownies in the kitchen.
I need all of
Do you know about this one?
Probably.
Do you know this story?
Yeah.
So let's talk about that. So my dad takes me into this house to sell long-term care. And long-term care is like life insurance, except you have to be healthy. They don't care if you die. They care if you're going to end up in a wheelchair and end up on oxygen and end up in a nursing home. So we walk into this lady's house. There's an oxygen tank in the corner. There's a walker next to the couch. I don't know any better. My dad already knows this lady has no prayer in hell of qualifying for long-term care. However, he decides that this would be when I would give my first presentation. Luke, do you know this story? He decides this would be when I give my first presentation because I can't screw it up. So he walks in and he says, Lance, you go ahead and sit down. I'm going to go in the kitchen. Do you mind if I get a cup of coffee? Lady has a fresh tray of brownies on the stove. She's got one of those walk-through kitchens on each side where you can see through. Herb's sitting there for an hour just walking back and forth with his hands, just eating all the brownies, all of them. ate the whole damn tray of brownies while he's sitting there. I get this lady sold. I bring my dad in to sign up the application, and he says, yeah, you can't qualify. Thanks so much. Have a good day. And we left.
Well, I wasn't that rude. I was not rude, okay? I was not rude. You know, people buy from people they like, people they would like to have dinner with, and people they like to trust.
Yep.
When I was in the
People buy from people they know, like, and trust. I mean, that's the whole thing.
When I was in the direct sales market, when I walked into a house, I always did a warm up. You all know what that is if you're in sales.
No, a lot of people don't. So mention that. I mean, what is a warm up? A lot of people drop the ball because they walk in and they tell and sell. They don't warm up.
No, you got to do a little bit of warm up. Look around the house, see what their interests are. If it's fishing, if it's golf, if it's cars, look around the house. If you smell something baking in the kitchen, say, let me ask you a question. What are you baking in there? Cookies, really? God, I haven't had a homemade cookie in years. My wife's not a baker. All of a sudden, you made a friend out of that.
Your wife's not a baker? Good luck with that one.
You had a cup
I think she's offended sitting in the background right now.
you have a cup of coffee, you have a cookie, and you made a friend out of that individual. Makes a sale a lot easier, okay? Warm up is very, very important. Very important.
It is,
especially in home sales. But not so much in business sales, but you still need to use that. But in direct sales in the home, extremely important.
But not necessarily true. You do have to find out what you have in common with people, or people like to talk about themselves. So you walk into somebody's office and they got helicopters hanging all over the place, and they were flying helicopters in the military. You start asking about that because people like to talk about themselves, and you want to start getting them to say yes. But if Herb walked into somebody's office and they had fighter jets all over the place, he was a fighter jet pilot. You just ask him; he'd tell you all about it. That's what he did. He made sure that he related to those people very, very well. Let's tell one more story. Let's talk about the ugly sister that was at the front door, and the nice sister that was at the back door.
No, it was a man.
No. When the lady slammed the door in her face?
That was a man.
No, it wasn't.
Was it a lady?
Yeah.
I don't remember. You tell the story.
Remember when you went to the front door, she closed the door, and you went to the back door?
No, here's the story on that. I was with Bankers Life and Casualty.
No, you weren't. It was you and me.
But let me go back to the first time it happened. I was at Bankers Life and Casualty training a brand new agent. And in those days, we had leads, where they said in leads requesting information. So we went out, knocked on the door. Man opened the door. Cards you sent in. I never sent in no damn card and slammed the door in my face. The gentleman that I was working with said, I guess we're done. I said, we just getting started. Okay? So we walked around the back, knocked on the door. Man opened the door and said, excuse me. I just met the rudest individual up front. Okay, and I'm sure it wasn't you. And he looked at me and says, come on in. Okay, he couldn't believe I did that. I went in there. We had a cup of coffee. We talked for about an hour. Walked out with a check for $1,500. Okay, but the easy thing would have been to do is walk away from the entire situation. Okay, I would never do that because that means I lost, and I'm a terrible loser.
But here's something else that you taught me in sales. You know, when I would call somebody on the phone, they'd say, "Done deal. I'm ready to buy. I'll see you at 2:00." That was the worst appointment ever.
Yeah.
Okay, because that person never bought a damn thing. The person that always said no, 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 no was the person that said no because they knew that when you got into their home, when you got into their business, they were going to buy. They were buyers, okay? So if you had something that made sense, they were going to buy, and they didn't want you in their office because they knew that they were going to buy. So the harder it is to get the appointment, the better the appointment is, and the better chance you have of actually selling the client is something that I've realized throughout my life, and something that you taught me, and something that's so true. Steve Herman, how are you? Good to see you. Knowledge is power. Angelo, Missy Tannenbaum, how are you? Ryan, hello. We got a good group on this morning. Yeah, Steve Herman. Steve Herman's here.
He's watching.
You know Steve Herman?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I was just making sure.
I know him.
Making sure everything's okay. All right.
So one of my other favorite stories is hearing about your time boxing at Golden Gloves and being there when Muhammad Ali was there.
No. Now, I'm going to straighten that story out publicly. That's not true. Okay?
No, okay.
That's not true. I don't know where that came from.
Because you told the story.
No. I went to watch Muhammad Ali box. I said front ring. But I was never in the ring with Muhammad Ali, or I wouldn't be sitting here.
No one said you were in the ring.
Yeah,
you were in Golden Gloves at the same time as Muhammad Ali in Dayton, Ohio.
He was in Louisville.
And you would have fought Muhammad Ali, but you got your ass kicked the fight before.
I wouldn't have fought Muhammad Ali if they asked me to. No way I would have fought Muhammad Ali.
That is awesome. I love that. But getting to see him fight up close and personal like that.
What is good?
That is awesome. So did you take anything away from how he was working and what he was doing and apply that to anything?
You know, I have related a lot of sales to boxing. But my favorite story is Rocky Marciano, okay? Rocky Marciano
Which is how I opened my goals seminar, and actually one of the reasons I opened my goals seminar, because that's something that you taught me. And Rocky Marciano, I want to see your version on the story, because I love telling the story.
Rocky Marciano did not come from the ghetto, did not come from somewhere where he had to fight to save his life. He came from a very middle-class family. He wanted to box. He went into a gym and they said, you're too skinny, blah, blah, blah. You need to. He was so determined to be a fighter that he had a swimming pool in his backyard. He took a baseball bat every day for hours into the pool and swung it back and forth in the water till his arms almost fell off. He built up his arms, okay? He finally got where he wanted to be. In my opinion, and I'm sure I'll get a lot of feedback on this, if Rocky Marciano would have fought Muhammad Ali, Muhammad Ali would have been knocked out by the 5th round. My opinion. I love Muhammad Ali. He's a great fighter.
There's a lot more to that story, though. Rocky Marciano got to the point where he started fighting in the streets and under bridges so that the coach would find him and would say, I want to get you out of the streets. I don't want you doing this, and I am going to train you. So he did what he had to do to get that coach to train him. Sarah, how are you? Thanks so much for joining us. Missy, it says you're working, but I don't believe you are because you're there watching us, so that's okay. But this is more fun and more entertaining anyway.
Yep. So, Lance, I know that we teach a lot of stuff that your dad taught you throughout life, but what is, if you could only teach one thing that your dad taught you, what would it be?
So I think when you talk about sayings, one of my favorite sayings, and one of the things that my dad taught me is both of us have been through a lot of struggle in life. Been through divorces, we've been through bankruptcies, we've been through career changes, we've been through a lot of things, right?
Right.
We've both been through a whole lot of things. We've been through troubles with kids, we've been through all of it. You name it, we've been through it. But what my dad always taught me was yesterday's history. You can't do a goddamn thing about it. Okay? It's done. Can't fix it, can't dwell on it, forget about the past. There's nothing you can do about it. It took me a long time, probably 25 years, maybe 30 years, to learn that that was true. Tomorrow's a mystery. You've got no control over it. I don't know what's going to happen today as soon as we end this and as soon as we leave here. And, you know, today is all you've got. So the reality is you have to live for today like today is the only day that you have. Don't put off till tomorrow what you can do today. Forget about yesterday and stop dwelling on it. Understand you made a mistake, learn from it, and move on. And then the fact is that you don't know what tomorrow is going to bring. So all that you can control is the actions that happen today.
Those are exactly my words, too. That's pretty good.
I'm sure that's very satisfying to hear your son say that. I would love to hear Jillian in 20 years say something that I taught her like that.
It takes a long-term time to learn those things, but you know, I have made mistakes, and the fact is that anymore, I can't dwell over them, okay? Coronavirus just happened, absolutely horrible. Businesses are shut down, people are out of work, we've had to make adjustments in our life, and the fact is that you can sit there and you can dwell on it, you can bitch about it, you can complain about it, or you can just realize that today is what you've got to deal with it, you've got to make the best of it, you've got to do what you can with it. You don't have a choice, that's all there is to it. So you can bitch about it, you can complain, nobody's going to listen, but you can go ahead and you can do that. Jeff, welcome. Missy, I am entertained this morning. I can listen and work at the same time. Perfect. So
She's
you're
a
multitasking.
multitasker. So going into business for yourself, being an entrepreneur, going into sales and doing all of that, what really made you decide to do that? And what would your advice be to people who are looking to make that change, looking to leave corporate or looking to leave a job where they're working under somebody and go out on their own?
And that are waiting for the perfect moment.
Well, I can tell you what motivated me. I don't know what will motivate you, okay? Back in the day, as I said, I don't have an education. I have a high school education, but I don't have a college education. And I had friends doing...
Yeah, you do, like 3 months.
Yeah. And so I decided I had to find something that I could succeed in, that I could earn the kind of money I wanted to earn, and that I could have the lifestyle that I wanted. Fortunately, I had a neighbor. A neighbor drove a new Cadillac every 3 years. And one day I walked up to him and I said, Stan, I says, let me ask you a question. What do you do for a living? He said to me, he said, why do you want to know? I thought, forget about it, okay? So he came back to me and says, let me ask you a question. Do you get a day off during the week? I said, I can take any day off I want. He said, why don't you take Wednesday off and meet me in the parking lot and I'll show you what I do. I thought he ran drugs or something. I don't know what he did. But I'm pretty nosy, so I went. And he was in the insurance business. Last thing I thought I'd ever do. I spent the day with him. I watched what he did. I watched what he earned and so on and so forth. And I said to myself, I can do this. I can do this. Now, let me tell you about obstacles, okay? I went home and told my wife at the time that I found the greatest job in the world. It would build me a career. It would give me everything we needed and everything I wanted. She says, how much is the salary? I said, there isn't one. Well, how about benefits? There aren't any, okay? Well, that's a stupid job, okay? I explained to her why I wanted to do it and so on and so forth, and I was going to do it anyway. My mom and dad were so upset. They drove down from Dayton, Ohio, and tried to convince me to see a psychiatrist because nobody goes to work for free. It's a true story, okay? I went to work for free. You know why I did it? I had the belief in myself. I knew I could do it, okay? And I was not afraid to take that step. The day I got my license and I got my first appointment, I had $37 in my account and the rent was due in a week and a half, okay? And the rest is history. I never looked back. Never looked back. I did it for 50-some years and succeeded every year. So it's a matter of believing in yourself, knowing what you want to do, and believing you can get there. If you've got those attributes, you'll be very successful in whatever you decide to do.
But you will struggle during the way, and nobody
sure
great
you
is
will.
ever not. There will be months where you can't pay the mortgage. There will be months where you can't pay the rent. There will be months where you can't pay the car payment, but you figure it out. That's all there is to it. So let's talk a little bit about my childhood.
Well, what would you, where do you want to start with your childhood?
I don't know. Betsy, I'll let you ask those questions there.
So what was Lance like as a kid when he was, around a teenage, like early teens, like 10 to 14? What did you think that he would be doing in life? And do you think he followed through and did what you thought he would be doing?
No. Okay.
Oh, wait a minute. What do you mean no?
I didn't
Just
think
because
you
I'm
would
not in prison?
Yeah.
I was a good kid till I was 17. That's when the wheels fell off.
Lance.
Luba, you want to chime in over here and sit on the couch? Okay.
Lance was, to sum it up in one word, it would be difficult, okay? Lance was a very difficult kid growing up, very stubborn, very bullheaded, very difficult growing up. I hoped for Lance, when he did go up and did get out of school, that he would go into the military, because I thought that'd be the best thing that could happen to him.
Just military, I never heard about that.
Oh, yeah. But
I would have lasted about 2 minutes in there.
I know. But anyhow, look how it ended up. He graduated. He did all the things I never thought he would be able to do and became a huge success doing them. So, but as a child, the best word I can use to sum Lance up is difficult.
So why don't we talk about your favorite story? What's the favorite story from a kid?
Favorite story? I have a lot of favorite stories, man.
Well, let's share a good funny one.
Okay. Go ahead. Which one would you like?
I don't know. Betsy's the questionnaire here.
Well, I mean,
What's
I just
the
want to...
best, funniest story that you have from my teenage years? Mike, welcome. Lardana, welcome. Kim, welcome. Jeff, welcome. We had so many people join on. Paula, welcome. You're going to have to rewind this if you haven't seen it already.
The funniest story. Well, I would say the most ridiculous story is when Lance decided he was old enough to kick my ass. I would say that'd be the funniest story.
I thought you were going to go with Cancun.
Oh, no, I'm not going there.
No, but you can finish this one. This one was fun. I was about 15 when this one happened.
16, you're 16, 17.
Satnam, welcome. How are you, honey? It's early in the morning for you.
Lance decided that he was going to show me that he was a man. He was man enough to do his own thing. He was going to show me that he could kick my ass. Now, you never want to fight your children, which I did not do. So we went out in the backyard, lasted 3 seconds. Lance realized he was still too young. But nobody hit anybody. But that was Lance's personality. It was just very difficult to sit down and reason with Lance. Lance was not a reasonable kind of kid. He's very difficult. Yeah. Very difficult.
But we do need to talk about Cancun because that's your favorite story. So let's talk about that one.
Let me start from the beginning.
Yeah, that's okay. Everyone, see, this is an open book. Everyone knows everything. You don't need to hide anything here.
Lance was still in high school, okay?
Hey, Brittany.
And with Aflac, you win trips every year. Well, the trip we won
I didn't win that trip. You won, and Mom couldn't go, so I went.
Right. So I took Lance to Cancun. Biggest mistake I've ever made. All right? So we went to Senor Frogs.
Satnam says, hi, Uncle Herbie.
Who?
Satnam.
Hey, Satnam. So Lance decided we're all going to,
Senor Frogs.
Senor Frogs, okay? Well, Lance had a few drinks and got a lot of hand. They pulled him out of line and wanted to put him in jail. We saved that one. And then he and a few other boys decided that they're going to have a good time. So as I'm sitting at the bar, I look up, and here comes Lance down the slide with 4 other guys completely naked. If I could have grabbed him then, I would have killed him, okay? Totally embarrassed me. That was Lance.
Sums it up right there.
But so were 5 other guys with Aflac on the same slide. Okay.
I learn new stories every day, all the time. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I kind of want to ask one more question and kind of wrap things up and kind of close it out. But for both of you, getting to know you better, Herb, and obviously being with Lance and learning everything that he does, how do you guys come up with new ideas? How do you keep that motivation flowing? How do you keep going? How do you keep not necessarily reinventing yourself, but making things fresh and keeping things in that momentum going forward?
The way that I would answer that is this. Something about my dad and something I've absorbed from my dad is we've never pretended to be someone that we weren't.
That's true.
You know, people are either going to like us, people are going to hate us, people are going to want to work with us, or they aren't going to want to. And that's kind of how we've always lived life. And that's why I don't care about stories. I don't care what people know. Jordan, thanks for joining. The fact is that you've got to be yourself, and you've got to be real, and you've got to have an opportunity to, let people know who you are and make the decision if they like you or if they don't like you. And that's just the fact. You're not going to work for everyone. You're not going to work with everyone, and everyone just isn't going to like you, okay? I don't care if you're the President of the United States. I don't care if you're the founder of the largest startup company that's out there. I don't care if you're starting your own local business or your own local networking group. There are people that are going to love you, there are people that are going to hate you, and you've got to understand that every single person isn't going to love you, and you aren't going to get along with everyone. So if you're out there looking to please every single person that exists, it's never going to happen, and you're going to live a very miserable existence.
I think the way you keep moving forward every day. Now, I'm retired now. The way I keep moving forward is better my golf game, okay? But what I used to do, okay, is every day I established a new goal. Okay, I decided what I want to do that day, what I want to accomplish that day, what I want to sell that day, how many people I wanted to recruit that day. But every day I had a new goal, and that's what kept me moving forward.
So I want to know if that sounds familiar to you guys, because when I do my goals seminar, I've been giving that goals seminar since I was 20 years old. I'm a district manager at Aflac because of the fact that you need to break your goals down actionable. What you need to do every month, every week, every day in order to accomplish your goals. And you've got to wake up knowing what it is you're going to accomplish that day. And that's something I've taken away from my dad, something I've learned from my dad, and something that has allowed me to continue to grow and continue to build. And that is the most important thing that I will continue to drive into your head. I want to make $100,000 a year. I want to be a millionaire. I want to buy a $500,000 house. I want to drive a Corvette. That's all bullshit unless you put action behind it and figure out what you've got to do every single day in order to accomplish those goals. That's something that's so important, and that is one of the main things that I've learned growing up is exactly that. It didn't work so well for me in school because I didn't have any goals other than to just, well, I'll stop right there. But yeah.
We all know where that was going. We don't need to fill in the blank.
Yep.
Well, awesome. Well, thank you so much for sitting down with us and giving us a little bit of peek into Lance's story, and then hearing all about you and what you did to motivate yourself and help other people out there. So I'm so happy that we did this. It was nice to get to hear a little bit more about your background. And
I'll finish with one thing. If you
Okay.
help other people get what they want, you'll get what you want.
So what's ridiculous is I was just going to say the same thing. Another one of my favorite quotes is, you get anything you want in life as long as you help enough other people get what they want.
Absolutely.
So do it for other people, build up other people, promote other people. A lot of you are networking. You're part of our networking group. You're part of other networking groups. If you're not out there giving more than you take, helping more people than the people that help you, you're never going to succeed, period. That's all there is to it. You do good things come back to you, period. There's no question about that. Satnam says truth. So with that, I think we're going to go ahead and close things out.
Yep.
Go ahead and make sure you save that, please.